I'm not sure if this is like a hot take or anything, but I like Seth MacFarlane's work. I mean, I enjoy like the first seven-ish seasons of Family Guy. American Dad is one of my favorite shows of all time, up there with like Simpsons and It's Always Sunny. And hell, I don't even think the Cleveland show was that bad. Granted, when I eventually decide I'm desperate enough to cover it, mm, it'll probably show, but I don't really think Cleveland show was like it's definitely not the greatest thing ever, but I don't think Cleveland show was like deserves all the hate it gets. I don't think it was like that bad. So yeah, I like Seth MacFarlane's work. However, I did say American Dad is one of my favorite shows of all time, but I think in terms of overall franchises, I think there's one thing that Seth MacFarlane made that very much rivals American Dad in terms of being my favorite thing Seth MacFarlane's been a part of. And this one feels more right to call Seth MacFarlane's. I keep saying it weird. MacFarlane. God, I need a freaking drink. Oh my god. This one feels more accurate to call Seth MacFarlane's favorite, like best work, because I feel compared to American Dad, he actually did a lot more actual behind the scenes work on this one, aside from just being a voice actor, and that is the Orville. No, fuck, it's Ted. The video is literally called after Ted. Why would you not know? Well, I'm sorry, viewer. You know I didn't mean it. You know what I also didn't mean? I think I gotta give my boy Bimmy here a sorry because I forgot to include him in the last video. Our schedules didn't line up well, and he missed last episode. Bimmy, I'm sorry. Bimmy, don't be that way. Don't be upset. It was mid-century modern. Who cares if you weren't in that one? No one's gonna be like, oh man, mid-century modern review was so bad because Bimmy wasn't in it. Come on. I mean, I guess it's accurate that I'm a part of this one. After all, Ted is kind of just like our story, right? What? Well, you know, it's like, yo, you got a magical talking friend that comes alive. I'm basically the Ted of our generation. Bimmy, my hand is up your ass. I don't think this is like Ted. John. Oh, really? Yeah, no. John never had his hand up like Ted's ass. Fuck you, man. He's just a little cranky. It's 11 p.m. He needs his nappy time. But okay, Ted. I'm pretty sure I watched the movie like just a few years ago. You see, my family does this thing where it's like a movie night. We try to do a movie night every week. And so, pretty much, it's an excuse for my dad to show us like these random old comedy movies. Because apparently nowadays people don't know how to fucking make comedy. But that's a whole different story that could do totally different Z-Man Extra on. But I won't be a lot more angry than this one. So, yeah, different energy. Anyways, one of the movies we saw was Ted. Now, obviously, me and my family have been watching Family Guy for years. And I'm pretty sure this is also around the point I'm starting to also really get into American Dad. I don't think it's at the point where I realized I got smart enough to realize American Dad was like significantly better than Family Guy, but it's something. So we watched the first Ted movie, and at first I thought it was really good, but I think I almost slowly enjoyed it more and more the more I've seen it. And now I'm comfortable calling Ted up there in terms of like my all-time favorite movies. I freaking love Ted. I think what makes Ted work and makes it such an amazing movie, in my opinion, a 5 out of 5, just like that, like no questions asked, is that beneath all the jokes, it almost reminds me of like the best Family Guy or American Dad episodes, where like beneath all the jokes and all that, there's a genuinely heartwarming story there that makes me really just it really makes me happy, Well, I think out of all of Seth MacFarlane's work that I've seen, because I have not watched Orville, and I don't really think I ever will have a desire to watch Orville. I feel like out of all that work, I think what makes the Ted movie, I think Ted movie, the first Ted, I mean, obviously, what it did the best is just balancing like having a lot of really funny moments while still getting me to actually care about like what's going on. Because Seth MacFarlane's stuff is his comedy is more of a jokes first to ask plot later kind of thing. It's not like say South Park where it's the message and all the jokes and all that are literally there for the message. The story is kind of just a part of the message, and the jokes are telling with that. But this movie, I think, does a way better job than most of that in terms of like just having a very nice story. Because at the end of the day, Ted is a movie about just some dude needing to learn to move on with his life. Him and Ted can still hang out and still be friends and all that, but he needs to really just mature and like, take responsibility for his life. The scenes of John and Meg Griffin voice actress, like seeing them broken up, was very sad. It still gets me. I never really had a breakup like that, but they portrayed in such a way where I actually am able to care about what's going on. And then seeing Ted and John also fight is so very upsetting. Like, man, come on. I know I'm not really explaining the plot of the movie beyond like a specific scenes. That's because I'm expecting you guys to have already seen Ted, because I do not care enough to do some spoiler-free shit. The movie's been out for like well over a decade at this point, roughly 15ish years, if I'm not mistaken. Go out and watch it, dude. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's super funny. Ted's great. John is a very lovable main character. He's very rootable. It all just works flawlessly. I mean, granted, obviously some jokes don't work. Occasionally, you get a scene that's just kind of like okay, but it's a comedy, so like you're not expected to laugh at like every single joke they give you. Even in like even the best comedies, you don't have to laugh at like every single joke. Overall, the first Ted movie is brilliant. It's one of those things where I think it really speaks for itself, which can make it kind of difficult to really review it. But yeah, it's a beautiful love story that also involves Seth MacFarlane and doing a talking teddy bear, and then Ted also does like a Peter Griffin impression, which is and it's funny because man, it's like Seth MacFarlane. Wait, no, he says he sounds like Peter Griffin. I think he's doing the impression, but at that point, it's like who cares, bro? Z-Man, you're doing too much. Explain yourself, fam. And then we get what's easily the worst part of the Ted franchise, Ted 2. Okay, to be fair, I like Ted 2. I definitely enjoy it more than most people because most people are like, "Oh, Ted 2's so ass," but like, I don't know. I don't think it's bad. I think the problem with Ted 2 is simply just they were nowhere near as good at that balancing act. The first half of it feels like I'm just watching a Family Guy episode, where like it feels like they don't care at all about a story, and it feels more like an excuse to tell jokes, which kind of like a lot of Family Guy. I think it's fine, but like at some, but I'm more of like a Simpsons guy, or like a even to an extent a South Park guy, where like I'd rather like have the jokes come from more of a real story, or even better yet, the characters, rather than just, "Oh man, isn't it funny they were throwing eggs at like some people walking," or just fucking or even some other or just a, "Hey, isn't it funny that like they're just all yelling, Ted's yelling at this guy and like they're all just yelling at each other out the window," and it's like it's fine, I guess. But then in the second half, it starts to get way too serious. Like the tone changes dramatically for no freaking reason. It's like they didn't know how to properly set a tone. That's the best way to describe it. Ted 2 doesn't feel like it has much of a tone. Or at the very least, the tone switches up on you so quick that it causes both sides to be worse. Like they didn't like a they it feels like they get all of it almost feels like eating sugar. You start very excited and all happy, but then you slowly just burn out and you still realize, oh man, you still got like so much more of this movie to set through. Well, I'm very upset that Meg's the voice actress could not return to be John's wife, so they have to retcon her out of the series. Which it's like okay, glad to know that John didn't really learn his lesson. The lawyer lady was nowhere near as fun as her. I know I've heard some people say that she's better because she's more in tune with them, but I don't know. I think you could have had maybe something like Meg's voice actress. Maybe she learns in this movie to like maybe be more of a vibe. I don't know. I feel like there's better ways they could have handled it. Oh, Donnie, the villain from the first movie's back, but his fugly kid doesn't return. And Ted making fun of him for being fat was like some of the best jokes in the entire first movie. So that's disappointing. Overall, Ted 2 isn't a bad movie by any means. I think it's funny enough to where I can see myself watching it like every once in a while, but like at the same time, I totally cannot blame people for who don't like Ted 2, as it has a lot of problems that very much hinder its enjoyment, but it's fine, I guess. It's an okay movie. It's like a low 4 if I had to, if I'm gonna really keep up with this whole rating thing. But now we get to this. But now we get to the thing that encouraged me to even want to make an episode on Ted anyway. And that, my friends, is the Ted TV show. When me and my family got Peacock, me and my brother knew we had to watch this freaking Ted series. Why else would any sane man get Peacock unless they want to watch the Ted TV show? And my God, I mean, it's difficult to compare a 16 episode of TV show compared to like a movie. I'd say I still love that first Ted movie a lot for like its story. My God, this series is so consistently awesome. I'd say I like season 1 a bit more than season 2. Season 2 isn't bad, mind you, but I think season 2 had a few more episodes in it that were like, it felt a slightly less consistent. But still, overall, no complaints. This series is freaking awesome. They somehow took the idea of a prequel. Those ideas usually suck. Like, oh man, we're just having John when he was in high school. But it's kind of a cool idea, actually, once you really think about it. Or at least I started to realize it was a cool idea when I started to think about it. Or more accurately, just saw clips on YouTube before I even watched the series. Because for what it's worth, I think the TED series makes it work. It almost makes you forget that you're even watching a prequel, and they didn't just come up with the idea they didn't even come up with the idea just for like this series. It's a prequel to a movie franchise. If I have to give some specific episode highlights, it's really tough because I really recommend you just go out and watch all of them. But if you want like a personal Z-Man's favorites list, My Two Dads is a really good one. The Halloween episode, Subways, Bicycles, Automobiles, that one's pretty good. Desperately Seeking Susan has like a little bit of a weird ending, but other than that, a little bit of a rushed ending, but other than that was pretty good. The season 1 finale, Loud Night. Oh, Loud Night was really good too. Okay, that one's absolutely I'm gonna have to put in here. Season 1 finale, he's gonna have it. He's gotta have it. Very good as well. Season 2 starts off really good with Talk to Me Dirty. The Dungeons and Dragons episode, you gotta talk about the Dungeons and Dragons episode if you're mentioning like best episodes. Okay, I didn't really care for the Ted plot in this one, but like this one, but like the mom's bombed rom com. Watch it purely for that Maddie plot. I'll get more to him later. Oof. And to finish off the final 2 episodes, Susan's the New Black and Fraudcast News were some pretty good ways to end the series. I know that I pretty much listed like almost half of these episodes. But even the ones I didn't mention, most of those I think you should watch as well, because just watch the whole series. The new characters are awesome. Maddie is like a, I guess okay. One thing is that they technically have to retcon who John's parents are because they could for some reasons. So instead of like the parents we saw briefly in the first movie, we got Maddie and then Susan. But I'm okay with it because at least Maddie and Susan are very good characters. Susan's this typical 50s housewife. And then you got Maddie, who's just the most racist, sexist, like he's all of the bad things you can say, and it's awesome. He's so funny. I think what makes him work is that they show him caring about his family just enough to where you kind of like the guy, but then you also have to recognize that he's also very much capable of being he has a lot of bad opinions straight up. And then you also got Blair, who is John's. She's related to John. Okay, I'm not. I can't quick think enough to like figure out what she is exactly, but like she's a but like she's part of the fam. She's good too. She's one of the best. I usually don't like characters whose whole purpose is just like to tell the other characters to stop it. Characters like Lisa from Simpsons, Kyle from South Park, Haley from American Dad. I don't really like those characters as much, but I think Blair's one of the better examples because I think they do a good enough job humanizing her to the point where like you start to really care about her. And plus, she's into girls too, so she's into some pretty freaky shit. One thing I have to say though is that ending the show at 2 seasons and only in a mere like 15 like what 15 episodes overall, that's freaking bullshit, dude. I know the show's expensive to make. I know, I'm aware. And I know that the final episode somewhat acts as a finale, although it's really only that final scene. But come on. A season 3 of John in college would have been awesome. Or maybe just John slowly working at like the car place that he works in the first movie. Something like that. Like, I don't know. I think it could have been funny. Maybe it's because I love this show. I love these 2 seasons so much that seeing it end so shortly is like kind of annoying. I will say the fact that it has so few episodes does hinder like rewatchability because it's such a short series. I know the episodes are roughly like 30 minutes. Hell, in season 1, some of these episodes go on for a while, but at the same time, it's like it feels kind of worth it, like just to have longer episodes. So I guess it's more of a quality over quantity type of thing. I have no idea what the hell's in store for Ted. I know some people would. A Ted 3 would be good, I guess. You fix the problems of Ted 2, make it more like Ted 1, or even the Ted TV show, although I'm not sure you do that because that's a prequel. I think Ted 3 could work if you handle it correctly. Maybe, other than Ted 3, I don't really see how the franchise can really grow because, again, the Ted series is really just a prequel. So it's not like you can really expand a whole lot more on that unless you do my college idea. I guess with that, I'll end the video here just by saying I love Ted. This is one. It almost reminds me of that Real Gems episode I did, but except instead of just a YouTuber, I'm talking about just a franchise, a very popular franchise. This is me saying I truly do love Ted. It might honestly be my favorite Sci-Fi McFarlane franchise, even more than American Dad. Hell, the Ted TV series might still be up there in terms of my favorite TV shows of all time. Despite its short run, it manages to be extremely so consistently good that almost makes me want to put it above shows that have lasted longer, way longer than it and have way more episodes. Quality does mean more than quantity at a certain point. And with that, I hope you guys liked this episode of Z-Man Extras. Trust me, episode 10 will be way more personal and way more wild. I really want to celebrate that episode 10. But Bimmy, would you have any more thoughts to say about Ted before we end the series? But series? You mean video, dumbass? He's getting a timeout, by the way. He's getting a timeout after I'm done here. Okay, baby, time for the bell.